Live from Space Launch Complex 184 at Kerbals at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida, the Real Space program presents the first demonstration test flight of the Zeus 615. We have RD-180 engine ignition, standing by for main engine power up. RD-180 engine ignited. Ignition of the 5 Zeus AJ-60 solid rocket boosters, and liftoff of the Zeus 615 rocket, carrying the first Gigacom satellite, flying into a geosynchronous transfer orbit in order to deliver Gigacom, the first massive interplanetary communications satellite. Is airborne aboard the Zeus. Pitch yaw and roll maneuvers have started. Dynamic pressure is increasing. Now this is just a flight test, which is why you see we have all of our flight data up. Pressure within normal limits. Dynamic pressure within still maintaining nominal limits, even though dynamic pressure is up high. We go through Mach 1. Mach 1 must have been experienced about 30 seconds into flight. Main engine throttle thrust limited back as we approach the half kilometer per second mark. Main engine is thrust limited down to 3/4 as max Q has been passed. Our next major flight milestone will be the SRB jettison. Jettison of the first 2 of 5 SRBs. That's what the last number in the configuration stands for. It stands for 5. It stands for the 5 boosters strapped on the inside. The 6 is the type of upper stage fairing, which is a Type 6 fairing. And the 1 is the Type 1 upper stage. At 24 kilometers in altitude, traveling at a velocity of 850 kilometers per second with an apoapsis of 57 kilometers. The next major flight milestone after SRB jettison is payload fairing separation. And that occurs at about 6 minutes after liftoff, depending on the altitude of the vehicle. It depends on the altitude of the vehicle. It could occur anywhere between 5 and 6 minutes after liftoff, now traveling at 1 kilometer per second. Boosters now reaching the top half of their thrust curve. And the thrust curve is now dropping off. The 5 AJ-60 boosters will then separate from the vehicle, propelled into a speed of almost 1.4 kilometers per second, and we have SRB cut out. We have first 2 SRBs jettisoned, followed by 2, 3, and 4. And that milestone was occurred at 1 minute 41 seconds into the mission. The SRBs burned for about 1.5 minutes before jettisoning. Altitude of 58 kilometers, velocity 1.5 kilometers per second. This is one of the faster flights of the Zeus vehicle, considering this is the biggest configuration. It can use up to the 5 boosters when in the 6-meter fairing, but in the Type 6 fairing, I don't know why I keep saying 6 meter, I guess I must just keep thinking of Atlas. But at 73 kilometers in altitude, our next major flight milestone will be payload fairing drop-off. Once we get above about 80 kilometers, we have payload fairing separation at 2 minutes and 7 seconds into the mission, revealing the Type 1 upper stage and its payload. We have some weird oscillations within the first stage's engine. Uncertain as to why these oscillations are taking place. These oscillations should not be taking place because of any instability aboard the vehicle. The booster burns for... The first stage burns for approximately 4 minutes. We have another minute and 11 seconds worth of burn in it. Standing by for the next major flight milestone, which will occur at about plus 3 minutes 30 seconds after liftoff, which will be booster engine cutoff and then separation. Approaching the booster engine cutoff. The vehicle is flying an ascent path of 5.5 degrees. Pitch angle. And the booster has about a half minute now remaining in the first stage. The first stage booster has about a half minute now remaining in first stage flight. Now this vehicle is not designed for use with the Type 2 upper stage, or hydrolox burning upper stage, or better known as, to normal people, as a Centaur stage. As we stand by for the next flight milestone, which is booster engine cutoff, which is expected to occur in about 10 seconds from now. Mark 10 seconds to BECO. Now this flight used the maximum amount of fuel in the actual spacecraft itself. As we stand by for BECO. And we have BECO. And separation. The spin should die down, hopefully, with some assistance from the RCS. Now the second stage has taken over. Flight, the Type 1 upper stage. As we continue to propel ourselves nominally towards a low Earth parking orbit in preparation for a geosynchronous transfer. Attempting to manage the apogee. as our booster is second stage, the Type 1, is propelling itself and the Gigacom payload into the parking orbit, attempting to keep the apogee within a margin, within a reasonable margin. As it throttles back, the Merlin vacuum engine, see, it keeps the apoapsis within a manageable margin of, we're trying to keep it under 300 kilometers. And every time I unintentionally shut it down, we lose a bit of speed as we try to drag the apoapsis down. As we have achieved our parking orbit, we now coast ballistically for our geostationary transfer burn. It now does the ballistics phase. The ballistics and coasting phase happens. As the second stage fires its reaction thrusters in order to reorient itself. Along its orbital path for the GTO burn. The GTO burn is a 2.4 correction kilometer per second burn of the upper stage to position the Gigacom satellite onto a geostationary transfer orbit. The burn is expected to be 1 minute and 30 seconds, 1 minute and 15 correction, as it burns to place the upper stage of the payload and the upper stage and the payload into a nominal geostationary transfer orbit. And it's a little halfway done the burn by the time we pass the maneuver. The burn is an 800-ish meter per second burn to send the spacecraft on its way to a geosynchronous orbit. Now we are firing on minimal thrust limiter. We are firing at 38% rated thrust on the engine, and minimal rated thrust on the throttle control, the manual throttle control. Approaching cutoff. We have cut off, and the final few meters per second can be shaved off by using RCS thrusters. Can be shaved off using the thrusters, which saves fuel in the upper stage. And that concludes our demonstration of the Zeus Zeus's largest flight configuration. I am Andy Epix, and I will see you next time. Have a good one. Bye.